We're in hospitality, and that's number one. You know, I mean, little things from knowing someone's name when they come up to a registration desk to making sure that your main contact has wine in her coffee cup, because that's very important when you're on site at conferences. Just remembering the kids' birthdays, you know, just little things like that. But then there's greater experiences from a hospitality side too that my creative team really hones in on. You know, you have 2,000 people at a conference. How do you touch every single one of those?
Nashville is alive with music, sure, but creativity also thrives in our art, marketing, technology, food, and in every corner of our community. On Creative Assembly's The Spark podcast, our mission is to amplify Nashville's diverse creative voices, foster growth through shared journeys, and inspire a city that thrives on collaboration. Each episode will take a deep dive into the lives and passions of Nashville's most innovative minds. We'll explore their creative processes, the challenges they face, and power of collaboration, along with so much more. Welcome to the Spark Podcast, brought to you by Snapshot, a digital agency on a mission to serve with heart, execute with excellence, and build something bigger together. And now, here's The Spark.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Spark, where Nashville's creativity and strategy come to life. I'm your host, Mark Scrivner, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Falon Veit Scott, founder and CEO of the EES Agency. Falon has built one of Nashville's leading experiential and event agencies, recognized nationally and globally for her innovative approach and leadership. Falon, it's so great to have you on the show today.
Gosh.
Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Same. Absolutely honored to be here. Thank you. And very excited about just hanging out with you.
Yeah, well, I've been really excited about this episode.
Me
just
too.
Getting to hear your story. I've heard you speak multiple times, and it's always so inspiring for me.
That means a lot.
Well,
I mean, right back at you with your history and what you've gone through. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Speaking of history, though, maybe we could just start the episode out by maybe just taking the audience through like your journey. What got you into, experiential marketing and all the stuff you're doing today?
A lot. It's crazy. I was telling somebody just the other day, I was like, I've been doing this for 26 years. I started live events and marketing. I have a background in marketing and PR when I was 17 in college. So it's all I know. It's all I've ever done. When I moved to Nashville, I volunteered my way into Fanfare. For those of you that know Nashville is Fanfare and not CMA Fest. Those were the good old days. And I would just work for free after work and just learn the music industry because I thought I wanted to get into that space. Quickly learned that wasn't my ethical pathway. Love everybody who works in the music industry, but I was a little terrified of it. And then went immediately into corporate meeting planning and live events, still using my marketing and public relations background, and just carried me all the way through growing up in Nashville back in the early 2000s and, moving here at 20 years old and kind of figuring it out as the city grew. And then, starting EES 13 years ago now, which is crazy to think I've got a 13-year-old. I have a real child who's almost 11, but I have a 13-year-old child, and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really happy with where we've gone and honestly where we're going. So it's been a crazy ride.
It has been amazing to watch, like just your journey and all the awards that you've won throughout the years. And you definitely have put in all the work that it requires to get where you're at today. And
thank you.
So what? Tell me a little bit about, like, I guess you ultimately took the leap and you went from event logistics and you started EES Agency.
Yeah.
Tell us about like what prompted that.
Yeah, absolutely. My family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather had his own business. My dad had multiple businesses, and my two younger brothers still have businesses on their own. And so I always knew once I started working that I wasn't always going to work for or with somebody. I knew I was going to kind of lone wolf it at some point and go out on my own. And with everything that was going on just in the world and in my space and my life in 2012, I was like, you know what, this is the year. This is the year that I'm going to finally take that leap. And I remember calling my dad before I did it, and I told him, and he was like, I got you. Let's go. We'll figure this out. And we did. And so I resigned in spring of 12, had to go through some things to get to be able to start a business, but was able to legally start my company in August of 2013. Not really having a plan on getting to where we are today. I know that sounds crazy, and it's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a business plan. Nothing was written down on paper. I knew that I have entrepreneurship in my blood. I knew that I have one of the strongest work ethics ever. And I knew that if I could bring people together in a way that I could inspire and motivate them, that they would do amazing work. And so just based on those three things, I was like, we're going to do it. And we did. And that's kind of still how it goes today. I mean, yes, there are a lot of plans in place and a lot of agendas and documents and contracts and entities and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I still put my team first and clients second, because if they're healthy, the clients will be healthy. And just making sure that I'm there. My role is just to motivate them, inspire them now. And that's it. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to dig into this even a little bit more. But, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, when they go and launch their own agency or any company, they always look at the former company and go, God, I could do it so much better. And you jump in and then you start to learn, oof, man, what were some of those like constraints that maybe you faced in the early days, the first year of business, that you go, God, I wish I would have known a little more about this?
Yeah. I had no money, right? So, I mean, I was, 30. Yes, 30. I just turned 44 when I did this. I mean, I had a house and a computer in a back bedroom, and we started it there. So that was interesting, though, to me, right? I was like, can I even do this without any funding? I made the very conscious decision back in the day to not take money, even from my parents, much less partners, people out in the space, you know, private equity kind of VC kind of stuff. So that's like kind of the obvious. Outside of that, I'll tell you, as much as I love people and how I honestly, truly believe that I'm pretty good at motivating my team and, you know, rallying behind them and beside them every single day, people are tough. What we do in live events and experiential marketing and kind of just like who we are today, a lot of people, when they look at us, and thank God, because my marketing team's amazing in-house, we look real sexy, right? I mean, our website is sexy, the photos are sexy, our Instagram is sexy, we're a fun team. But when you're trying to build a team from scratch and you don't have that yet, right? When you're kind of building it from your reputation, from where you were, from where you came from, or who you are as a person, that was hard. I had, you know, some folks on the team that, you know, didn't really understand in the early days that we're the janitor, all of us, we're all janitors, we're all CEOs, we're all the account execs, we're all the sales, we're all the logistics managers, right? Like we're having to do everything. And so trying to find people in those early days that had the founder's mentality. If you've read that book, it's fantastic. I still have that today, but like that was tough. And I felt like that's what I needed. But once I found them, then that's when we really started to grow. And I'm like, okay, cool. Y'all get it. You know what it's going to take. We're all going to be in the trenches for a while. I mean, we were in the trenches until COVID. Now, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But we're in the trenches for a long time, just like blood, sweat, and tears every single day, just keep pounding and keep going. But it just took a while to get them on board. So I'd say money, people, and then honestly, the mental strength that it takes to wake up every day and keep going when people are telling you no, to wake up every day and keep going when you don't have the money, or you lost a team member because they wanted to get married and have a baby, and I love all of the babies, but like I need someone who's going to be there. The mental strength to wake up and know that you're also newly married and pregnant, you know, and you've got to schlep this 8-foot table across the ballroom, else it ain't going to get there, you know, that kind of stuff. That was really hard in the beginning, but it's really cool now because I have a great damn story, you know? And one of these days we're probably going to write a book about it and tell everybody about all the blood, sweat, and tears and all the pain that we all went through in the early days of EES to get it to where it is today. So,
well, after hearing you on stage a couple times, like I would say you have a book in you for sure.
I think so. I think so.
This is great. Well, and also your dad, he said, let's go.
He did.
But he didn't kick in any money to help you out, so you were all on your own.
Yep.
What, you know, I guess that mindset and that discipline of a true entrepreneur with no money and no way to go back. You know, you burnt your ships, you went out there.
I did.
Like, Was there anything there that just like, man, you just at one point said, I don't know if this is even going to work?
You know what? No.
No?
And here's why, though, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, I'm sure, right? I think it's honestly because of my background with my family and all of us being entrepreneurs. I've seen my family members specifically, I mean, growing up in an entrepreneur household, right? Like my mom had a full-time job that she was working for a bank or whatever. And then my dad had these companies all over the world. And so I saw the ebbs and flows. Mm-hmm. I saw like the highs. We're going on a 2-week vacation all the way down to like, we're going to eat mashed potatoes for 4 days kind of thing, right? So I saw what it took. I saw what it took on their relationship as my parents and how they treated us 3 children. I mean, I was working in my dad, he was a knife maker. I was working in a shop. So I knew what that took. And every time I would get so just disgruntled with myself or with a team member or with a client or with the fact that, oh my God, I'm traveling 302 days this year. This is insane. I would just lean on my family that has been through that. And my oldest brother, who's a couple years younger than me, and my dad, I would just call one of them and have them remind me that I can do it, right? And they were like, and my younger brother would be like, you don't want to work for anybody. You're never going to make any money that way. And I was like, well, I'm making money right now. Mm-hmm. So like, we need to figure this out. And my dad would always just tell me, he's like, I've got you. He was like, you've got this. This is in your blood. I'm always here as an ear. I can always guide you, but I know that you're going to do this. You're never going to go back. And it wasn't that going back was failure. Mm-hmm. It's just that it was never an option. And I never, ever thought about it. Even in the beginning, like I said, from 12 to COVID, it was 8 years of just uphill battle and climbing. And I remember in 2017, I talked to a good friend of mine, and it was a tough conversation. And I'm a Christian. He's a even bigger and better Christian than I am. And I was on the phone with him, and I said, you know what? We're finally hitting a pace in the company that I see how big we're going to be. Mm-hmm. And it's way bigger than me. And it feels like the world is trying to tear me down. And we cried on the phone together, and we said our prayer, hung up. And I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, even if I was going to quit, 2017 was like, nope, sorry, girl. Like you have a lot to prove. You have a lot of people on your team that you love, and you have families to support. I mean, I have 32 families I have to support today, right? Like, and that's just our full-time team, right? And how this is. So once I just got to that point, there was no turning back. But to get there, it was my family just like telling me, like, come on, you got this. Like, there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in the Veit household either. Like, that's not what we do. So it's like, dust yourself off, get your ass out the door. Yeah. You're going to make it happen. So just the mentality I was raised with. Yeah.
I wanted to invite you to our next Creative Assembly gathering. It's our relaxed, bi-monthly networking event in East Nashville, where ideas spark over drinks and creative collaborations come to life. We meet at 1530 Riverside Drive with light snacks, refreshments, and plenty of free parking. Whether you're an agency owner, part of a creative team, a freelancer, student, or even a business owner curious about collaboration, you're always welcome at Creative Assembly. RSVPs aren't required, but they help us plan for space and treats. Just search Creative Assembly Nashville on Eventbrite or visit creativeassembly.agency/events for details and the RSVP link. Come ready for connections, conversations, and creative collaboration. We can't wait to see you there. Well, staying on the path of like, hey, when you started, you had your hands in everything, small group of team members, and everybody knew everything about everybody. Yeah. And now, like, I guess, how have you seen your role evolve over the years to really where you're at today?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just telling somebody this yesterday. I have always loved what I do. And I have said many times, you got to be a little crazy to be in our industry. But I never want to do anything else. Like, this is it. There was a really a pivot point for me inside of who I am, probably in 2021, was when we came out of COVID. We made it through COVID well, which is great, and knock on wood. I don't want it to happen again, but we were fine. But in 2021, everything went absolutely bonkers. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was like, holy shit. we were operating at the highest revenue per head that we ever have seen. All of us were constantly texting each other, like, are you going to make it? I don't know. Are you going to make it? We were sick. We were traveling. But we were pushing through. We were crying. We were screaming. We were drinking. We were yelling. But like we were successful. Like it was crazy. And it was just one of those times, like in 2017 when I realized it was bigger than me. In 2021, I was like, I'm not going to make it if I don't get someone who I can turn over the bulk of the daily operations to. Enter my COO. I've known him for a long time, and bringing him on board, and he knows this, was a massive transition for our company and set us up for real growth. Because I was doing everything, and that's not scalable, unless somebody can clone me. Like that's kind of it, right? So, bringing him on board was a big step in the right direction that we needed to take. And it took a couple years for us to figure that out with the rest of the team. At that time, we're adding people in all the departments and sales and logistics and marketing and trying to figure that out. We rebranded, we acquired a company. Like we did a lot of shit from 21 until 23. And then I just kind of grew my C-suite in the past year and a half. And now literally, my COO and basically VP run the day-to-day. And my CFO and I, we work on the next 20 years, which is really fun. So I do vision, growth, and strategy every single day. Now I do still sit in meetings. It's amazing. I don't create agendas and documents and decks anymore, which I kind of miss doing. But I'm just the future, which is really exciting for me because that's kind of where I live anyway. That's one of my strengths is just to be extremely future oriented. And so going from, like I said, the janitor, the account executive, the salesperson, all the way up to the one who's motivating the team and getting them excited for the next 20 years is a drastic shift. And I had to do a lot of soul searching and praying and talking to my friends in my EO forum and just crowdsourcing and talking to mom and dad and my husband and everybody to like figure it out. But we did. We figured it out, and I'm really happy with where everything is. So I think I did it right. We'll see, but I think it's right.
You went from like really holding everybody accountable to do what you say you're going to do on the team to really being more of like the visionary leader. And I guess how's that changed the relationship you have with even your team?
It's amazing. I will say in 2024, I lost my dad. And he, as you can tell, I've already talked to him. I've talked about him a bunch. I have on every podcast. He's the reason I'm here. He's the reason, literally, he's the reason I'm here, him and my mom. But like, he's the reason I'm a business owner, right? And when he was diagnosed with this disease in January of last year, I didn't tell my team. I didn't tell them for 3 months because I was so afraid, is probably the right word, that they would think that I couldn't still be their leader and take this on. Because everybody knew how, like, my dad's my best friend. And I didn't want to be vulnerable in that way until I talked to my executive coach, and she slapped me over the head and told me I had to, and so I did. But once they found out, the amount of, well, first of all, love. And we all love each other on my team, every single one of us. I would choose to hang out with these people outside of work on a daily basis. But like the love that came to me was amazing. But the support for the company and key people on the team and management team across the board, regardless of what their structure and title is and hierarchy in the chart is, would just pick up stuff without me even asking. And so it was just a testament to who they are as people, but like our culture as a company. And so the transition was forced because of me, or it was forced for me because I wasn't physically in Nashville all the time. I was in North Carolina in doctor's offices and hospitals a lot. But the team never, like no one knew. No client knew. There were no big problems. Like if something came up and they needed me, like they would just figure it out. And it was wonderful. And fast forward, we lost that on Christmas Day, and this year has been the same, and I haven't gone back. I remember talking about this in my forum before and being like, gosh, how do you let go? And I didn't know how I was going to let go because I love what I do so much, and I like to solve problems. I like to have the answers, but I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I was like, okay, I got to go. I got to help mom with that and brothers and all this stuff. And so I couldn't. And the relationship just grew arms and legs and hearts. And I mean, just everything about it. Like we all got closer through this, which is crazy to say. But my team stepped up in a way, not that I ever think that they wouldn't, because I knew that they would, but I had no idea they were going to do it at that level. And so we're riding that still. And when they listen to this, guys, I'm never going back. So I'm not going to come back in and micromanage or anything. They're shining. Yeah. And I love seeing them shine now. It's completely different Falon. I've always loved to see them shine. I like to be there with them, but now I'd rather be working on the future and let them kind of take on what we're doing today 100% because they're better than I am.
Well, Falon, this podcast, the audience is going to be a lot of agency owners and creative folks around Nashville, and I think that's a super powerful lesson. And I'm really sorry to hear about your dad too. I went through a very similar thing a while back, and it was much further back. And my dad was the reason that I started a business and have the same kind of grit that you do. So I know what you went through.
I know we're part of a group I never really wanted to be a part of, but yeah I hear you.
Well, I know your dad was a huge influence and mentor for you, but you've mentored a lot of people throughout the years. I know so many great people that have came out of your agency over the years and went on to do other bigger things. And I mean, who else has been somebody you go, boy, they have mentored me beyond your dad?
Yeah. It's interesting because the word mentor, I feel like has a connotation of somebody, for me, somebody in your field who may be older than you or more experienced than you and be able to kind of carry you along the way to where your perceived future is supposed to be, right? For me, I have mentoring moments for myself on a daily basis. And I know that's not what it is, but that's how I view it because there's always those little glimmers that kind of come to me in different moments from whether it's I read a lot. And so maybe it's a book that I'm reading and there's a paragraph in it and I screenshot that paragraph and then I implement that in some way, shape or form into a meeting or one of my team members. I mean, even the youngest man or woman on the totem pole at EES, some of the things that come out of their mouths, I'm I never thought about in that way, but maybe that's going to help me with this. Or my 10-year-old son, he is 10 going on 35, and there's days I don't like that. But most of the time, he cuts through the crap. He's heard a lot. He's an only child, and mommy's a business owner, daddy's a business owner. And so he hears a lot. He has a lot. He asked me about EBITDA the other day, and I was like, hell yes, we are on the right path. But there's also things he hears, and he's like, I'll hang up the phone and be like, Mom, why don't you just blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, you know what, Cole? That's right. Just cut through it, right? Just go straight to the point. So mentors in general for me just kind of are just for me to have an open heart and mind all the time to other people's opinions and points of views and just try to, I'm a continuous learner, right? So just try to pull the positive insight that other people have to give on a daily basis and I kind of just compile it up into this big ball and then do something with it from there. It's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. Great insights there. So so EES is a full service, bespoke, strategic experiential marketing agency. Yeah. So how do you think you differentiate yourself from everybody else in town that does what you do? Yeah, absolutely. A few ways, but I would say the one way that has really been getting traction recently, and that I'm kind of spearheading with some other folks on my team, is the strategic side. We have a trademark process called Events as a Business Strategy that we run current and new clients through, where we really dive in and evaluate whether they have an event portfolio or not. Sometimes we're building event portfolios from scratch, but really, for those we're already working with, evaluate their event portfolio from a business standpoint. So we believe, of course, and not just self-serving, but live events and content and experiences need to be a part of every single business plan. We should be a line item on every single person's budget. Every company's budget should have events as a line item. And so we look at it from that lens. But diving in with key stakeholder interviews and discovery calls, discovery documents and information, I mean, it's usually a 1 to 4 or 5 month process that we go through with everyone. But it's
it's amazing. We have already been really embedded in the agencies embedded in the companies that we work with as an agency, but this is embedding us even more because we have to get to the nitty gritty of like, okay, cool, company X, this is you today, but wait, I need to talk to your chief marketing officer because I need to know where you want to go in 10 years. And then we're going to bolster that with events, trade shows, incentive trips, SKOs, whatever it is along the way to get you there. And that's really exciting for me because I think I love business more than events these days. I transitioned into just really loving business with events, obviously, but the clients are loving it. And the prospects are loving it because, as you know, and everybody knows, there's little money left, right? I mean, our budgets and everybody's budgets go down every single year. And so if we can go to our main contact at Company X and say, listen, we're just going to do one thing for you. We're going to track these metrics from the time we sign a contract with you, one full year until the event's done or however many events are done. And then we're going to give you just a very quick high-level report so you can just kind of see how these metrics performed, right? Blows their mind. Nobody does that. And so doing that is super helpful for us to not only continue being embedded in the organizations, but also to grow our relationships with them. We've always been strategic. We just haven't sold ourselves in that way. And that's where I believe the future is, on top of just like experiential marketing in general and branding activations and content creation and all those things, which we're also doing now. It's really, we really have to think differently. I say gone are the days for anybody who's in events and listening. If you remember spousal tours, all the husbands would go to a conference, all the wives or whatever, for the most part back in the 90s, they would go on tours. People are like my women that work for me that are younger, they're like, what are spousal tours? I'm like, exactly. Like those don't exist anymore because there's no money for them. It's just not what it is. And so if everybody on my team is not thinking strategically, we're not going to be the team that moves forward in the world, right? And so we've been training and have certifications and trademark processes and all this stuff to actually put that together, and it's working.
So when you come out of one of those strategy sessions, like what do you just lay out the roadmap and the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot of information. They get a complete plan roadmap to move forward, sometimes with us executing it and sometimes not. It just kind of depends on budgets and time frame and skill sets and sometimes it's a mix. Yeah, but it's big.
Really?
This is not 10 pages. Yeah. And just like the information, the appendices that we give out too, and like the processes in terms of what we run it through and the reporting and the measurements. And my CFO is way smarter than me and he does a lot of that. So he has all the spreadsheets.
Wow.
But yeah, no, they get basically a playbook if they want to do it, and that's the thing, like evaluating the customers from the standpoint of, hey, like we're going to spend a lot of time digging into your organization as a whole. And we just don't want to talk about your events. We want to know more. We want to know who are the problem people on the team? Where are you going from a marketing standpoint? What is the messaging? What do you think the world thinks you are? And kind of like really dig into the meat of it. So yeah, it's a lot. And sometimes we overstep our bounds a little bit and go into other areas and tell them that this is also broken, that they should fix. Because as you know, like things come up when you're in a consultative place with a company, and you just have to do it lightly. But yeah it's a lot.
We've worked together on a couple different conferences throughout the years, and I would just say from like an outsider perspective, even though we work together, it's almost like you're the Ritz-Carlton of, the Nordstrom of the past. I don't know if Nordstrom's still the same, but it's that very high touch, great service, thought of every detail. It was like, that we've worked with other, events companies in the past, and, you've had to ask all the questions, and it's like, oh, well, we forgot this. And I've just always appreciated working with you all and knowing that you don't even have to ask a question.
Yes,
it's
thank
taken
you.
care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we scream that internally day in and day out. And we, as leaders in my company, we treat our team that way too. There is a Japanese concept called omotenashi.
Okay.
And it is anticipating needs before they happen, before they occur. And I experienced this in Europe last year. It's a long story. I won't go into it, but I've had a very amazing experience at this bar in Covent Garden at the Rosewood in London. And I brought it back to the team, and I couldn't quite figure out how to explain to them this Japanese term, and this bartender told me anyway. And so, but now we've embedded it into our culture in terms of just, okay, let's figure out what the problem is, or let's figure out what the need is, not necessarily the problem, what the need is before it happens. And we talk about it all the time as a team, and everybody pushes it forward, and everybody's bought into it. Hospitality, I mean, we're in hospitality, and that's number one. You know, I mean, little things from knowing someone's name when they come up to a registration desk, to making sure that your main contact has wine in her coffee cup, because that's very important when you're on site at conferences. Just remembering the kids' birthdays, you know, just little things like that. But then there's greater experiences from a hospitality side too that my creative team really hones in on. You know, you have 2,000 people at a conference. How do you touch every single one of those? So we do pride ourselves on that, and we've got work to do too. And there's a lot that's coming down the pipeline. The whole world is going experience crazy, and we see it, and we are staffing up in different ways now. You know, opening an office in a larger market than Nashville that's more experience based in Southern Florida, and so it's coming at us faster than what we can keep up with it. But that's great. We're still growing and moving in that direction too.
You said Miami, and tomorrow I leave for West Palm for a big conference down there. And so did you pick Miami because of all the conferences that happened down there, or what made you choose that city?
Number one, well, I don't know if it's number one or number two. Really two reasons. The first is seasonality. Nashville's got a different seasonality than Miami. And, you know, when you run a live events agency, your P&L's kind of like this on a month-to-month basis, depending on, you know, who's having what, when, and where. Now, we travel a lot. We used to have about 65% of our events here in Nashville. We now only have 40. Just because a lot of our clients are from here, but like we're traveling all over the world now. And so Miami is busy when we're not busy, which is helpful with just maintaining a different, you know, cash flow model. The bigger reason for me personally, I had it narrowed down to Miami or Charlotte. And I chose Miami because of the international gateway that the city is. I really wanted to just open up an international office, but I feel like I was a little bit ahead of myself on that. And so I wanted to stick my toe in the water with Miami because it's kind of like another country. Every multinational has an office there. Just the airlift in and out, all the conferences that come, the weather, just the experience mindset that Miami is. I was like, you know what, cool. We're gonna try this first. And if we do well Miami, we're gonna immediately move internationally, TBD on where.
Wow.
But yeah.
Plus, you wanted to build a big old house there on Miami
right,
Harbor,
yes,
right?
Of course, yes. I could have a little one. I could have a tent. I could have a tent on Star Island. That would be great. I'll sleep in my car on Star Island. That'll be fun. Yes.
Well, you've done so many like big projects and world-class like events. Like, is there one like flagship project that maybe you guys have had over the years that you think truly represents who you are?
We have done so much over the years. I remember, you look at our calendar, it's like 300. It's been up to one every day. We've had over 350 events a year in the past before. That's down a little bit now, which is insane to think about for 13 years.
Yeah.
One for me that is more personal, I would say, and is local, is the Iroquois Steeplechase. I kind of volunteered my way into running that event back in like 06, 07 when the Children's Hospital still had it. And then I helped transfer it to the Volunteer State Horsemen's Foundation. The people that are just involved with that event are amazing. And we used to have 1,000 volunteers that would support us as the company that put it together. And between me and my COO, Dawn, he or I have managed that event for the past 20 years, which is crazy. I would say from like what represents us and who we are, I think there's a little bit of that in that event, mainly because we have somewhat of a creative license to work with the horsemen, to come up with ideas and do different things out there. But honestly, like we're the best damn team at logistics. We are so good at logistics and flawless execution. I mean, I trust my team. My team could move 1 million people around this city in like 5 minutes. Like they know how to do this. And so 25 back in the day when Iroquois was bigger, it was like 32,000 people in Percy Warner Park is a lot to deal with. And so who we are at the base and the foundation of being a really, really damn good logistics team shines every time that we're out there. And then it's just fun. And so many of us are social butterflies, and we get to see everybody in the community and then to give back to the Children's Hospital that a lot of us have ties to. So it kind of like, now I just go and hang out, which is fun. My team just runs it, and they do a really, really good job, and it's just fun to participate. But that's probably one that we've had for the longest, one of the longest ones, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, every social post I see of you out there, it seems like you're having more fun than you're...
There are now cocktails involved.
Wow.
Yes, it's worth it. Yeah, it is worth it.
That's a big event. That's amazing.
It's fun.
Yeah,
yeah, we love doing it.
I've heard you talk about leading with love, and the way you treat your team and your people. It's just inspiring. Like, what does that mean, and how do you lead your team with that philosophy?
Absolutely. I would say overarching, in the bigger scheme of things, it's giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? Everybody's going to make mistakes, including me. And sometimes we make the same mistake more than once. It doesn't matter what it is. We're in the business, y'all are in the business too, of people. We're in the business of people, and people do crazy shit, right? So stuff is going to happen. So giving my team the benefit of the doubt is something that has shifted in me. And where the leading with love has come out in the past year or so, from all the life things that have happened to me recently, and just understanding that, you know what? These people care just as much as I do. Doesn't matter that they're not founder and CEO. It doesn't matter they're not Falon. They care just as much as I do, because we have built something amazing, and they not only want to be on the team, they want to do a damn good job. So if they're tired, or if they're not tired, or if they're overwhelmed or not overwhelmed, or if something has happened in their personal life that they might not have told us, or if a client is just driving them nuts, right? Just give them the benefit of the doubt, and know that from a loving standpoint, that they are also here in the same exact boat that I am. And we're all, as long as we're rowing together, we're just pushing it in one direction. I have worked on teams not of my own in the past where that wasn't the case, and it just leads to toxicity. And I told myself when I started EES, I said, regardless of what we do, how big we get, again, I didn't have a plan. Thought we were going to be a couple people, maybe, just really cool, fun little people, little group. But, I was like, I'm going to make sure that everyone knows that they are important, and that they belong here, and that I'm going to support them through it. And if they mess up, we're going to fix it together. And that's just what we do. Now, it's not to say that you can mess up 20 times and make the same mistake 20 times and still make it on the team, because that just doesn't happen. We wouldn't be in business if I did, if I did say that. But it's just letting the team know specifically that I'm there. And for me, it's also showing up, we lead quarterly meetings with the team, and if it's not me on stage the whole time, it's me on stage half the time, coming up with the content, buying gifts. Gift giving is a love language of mine, and I love buying gifts for people when I see them doing a good job and going above and beyond. I do it all the time. Writing little notes to them, even sending them hey, here's your favorite popcorn and a thank you note. I'm sure you're up late working on this project, see you in the morning kind of thing. So just trying to make sure that they're seen and heard, because in live events, we are the last people thanked. Nobody cares. We're dressed in black. We're hiding behind the curtain. We rarely get thanked until the debrief call, and by then we're already on to something else. So I just try to be that person who is cheering them on, thanking them, giving them the benefit of the doubt, and letting them know that it's okay. This is a safe place. Y'all may be going through some shit. We can match stories on this, right? I was I'm older than a lot of my team, and so it's we can talk back and forth about all the stuff that we're going through right now, and I'll be there for you. Yeah. Answering phone calls at midnight, go to the hospital if something happened. That's just who we are as a team. And my leadership team, my executive committee does the same thing. All of us do the same thing. But I think it's important for that, if I do it, leading with love, and then everybody else will do it too.
Everybody follows.
Yeah.
You make your business seem like it's just so easy. And when I say that, it's just you're so confident in everything you do. However, I look at your business and go, God, it is one of the hardest businesses, because it's almost like, the wedding, and you have one chance to get that shot of the bride, and if you don't, it's not going to be a good event. Yep. And so we're even we've produced, these killer videos that launch a conference, and I always find myself cross my fingers going, please work, please work.
Don't let the audio, don't let the audio lag. What is it? Yeah.
And you also talk about your team travels all the time
my
because you're
gosh.
going everywhere
All over
and
the
putting
place.
up this big equipment and everything. How do you protect against just burnout of the team?
Yeah, so it's hard. Protect is a hard word. What I did, I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. 21, 22 almost killed us. And when my team listens to this, was there, they'll agree. And we kind of joke about it now, but it almost killed all of us. It was amazing for business, best year ever, but really hard. I took it upon myself because I thought I was about to burn out right before I hired my COO. And I took it upon myself to do just research into mental health, right? And so I went to 4 or 5 different white papers and a couple different books, and I created what we call internally now through the HR department, Beating Burnout document. And I didn't walk through what I realized when I was doing that research on the side of my life was just I'm never going to help people not feel burnt out. If they're there, they're there. Right? I've let people go on short sabbaticals before, and that's fine because if they're there. What I wanted to combat was okay, how do we make sure they don't get there? And then for them as team members and their managers and managers' manager, what can we do from the top down to support them throughout the year on a consistent basis so they don't get there? And so that's what the Beating Burnout document and plan is. And we use it. And the beautiful thing is that everybody kind of just gobbled it up oh my gosh, okay. Because one of the biggest things that I learned from that research on top of just, I can't help you if you're there. I mean, I can help you if you're there, you can take some time off, but you're just going to come back and get in the same thing. So if we don't teach you the skill set and how to manage the micro burnout causes, you're not going to fix it. So there's a whole 2-page section of it that talks about the micro issues of burnout. And really it's not, this is a thing for me. Everybody assumes it's their job. Right? Everybody. And especially in live events. I mean, gosh, we hear it all the time. Every panel, every MPI meeting, everything you go to, we're burning people out. But guys, think about it. They're only working events, let's say 50 hours a week, right? Unless you're on site. What are the other hours? What's happening in the other hours, right? So what are those micro issues? If you're a mom and the kid didn't sleep at night, if you're married to somebody and they're not unloading the dishwasher, if your washer's broken, and then you get to work and this client is driving you nuts and your boss is having a bad day and blah, 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 right? It's the little things that kind of add up. And then just as a society, for some reason, we've always blamed it on our career. But it's not really the case. So the other part of this document is kind of shifting that mindset a little bit and letting people, and hopefully coaching my team, hey guys, look at the total scope of what you have going on in your life. And you know what? If you know you're going to be busy at work this week because you're going to be traveling all over the country, that week leading up to it, sleep, maybe get an IV, immunity IV. Make sure your shit is printed off and your clothes are ready to go, right? There is some preparation to do that. I always say when you're busy in the professional season, you got to be slow in the personal season. And you're busy in the personal season, you got to be slow in the professional season. And so that kind of balance and integration helps with burnout. But it was interesting putting that together because I didn't want to come across as a CEO that was this is your life. This isn't the company, because live events can burn you out. I get it. It's exhausting to be in front of people and putting all this stuff on and all the questions, and you're the therapist and the personal concierge and the support system and all this stuff for everybody. But it's really more than that. And the team responded to it really well. And we review it in our strategic meetings and go through it. And now I've turned it over to HR and they use it whenever things pop up. Whenever somebody feels they're okay, my job all of a sudden got really hard and I don't know how to figure out what to do next. And we at least have a resource. And I have appendices with actual resources, not just Falon's Brain for books and, different white papers and things for people to read. But are we really beating it? I don't know, but are we doing a better job at being aware of it and allowing people the space they need when they need it to make sure they don't get there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet, and we'll put your information in the show notes because I'm
please.
sure that there are going to be some agency owners that would love to like hear more about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I'd love to talk about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've talked about like planning and your strategy sessions and all that. Do you subscribe to like one? Is it like EOS or is it scaling up? Or
yeah, so we're an EOS company.
Okay.
We're on year 3 with them, I
Okay.
think. Our implementer is setting us free in the best way possible, and we're running it now.
Okay.
This is our like transition year, and the next year we'll be running it on our own. And then a few of us are in strategic coach as well, more of a founder, CEO leadership thing. But those are the 2 that we do from just like a business standpoint. I mean, my team is in all of the industry things, but those are the 2 that we do. Yeah.
Where do you see like your company going, and then where do you see the industry going? Maybe they're in tandem, but in the next, maybe let's say 3 to 5 years, not so much the 20-year plan.
Yeah.
That you've got.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, when I told my team, I was like, I'm thinking about 20 years from now. I think half of them were like, wait, what? They're like, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, whatever. Honestly, us in the industry are in tandem right now. I fully believe, and I think. Probably more than think. I would say I know where we're going and I know where the industry is going. Live events have been changing for 2 or 3 years and literally combining what you do and what we do into one. And part of the agency model transition is to kind of do that a little bit. But people are so much more concerned about atmosphere and experience than they've ever been, in a bigger way than just making sure that the meeting or event is running smoothly, but the take home that people are walking away with, whether it's the feeling, the connection. We're working a lot on in between event engagement, right? So you may have an annual conference, but that's just a blip for a day or 2 days, and then it's flat until the next year, and then it's a blip. And so we're working on having blips throughout, but that's where the industry is going.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and honestly, it came out of COVID. I mean, when we couldn't talk to each other, see each other during COVID, we definitely talked to each other, but see each other during COVID, everybody's like, holy shit, like we have to be around other people. And people are craving that connection and these experiences and these wow moments even more than they have before. And so when it started changing, we started changing that as well. We restructured the whole company. We brought on roles that we've never had before, and we're kind of doing it again. And there's new divisions and pillars that we're launching because that's what the industry needs. And I say it all the time to the team. I'm like, we are the best at logistics, and my logistics team is amazing. Like, I could never do what they do, but I'm like, guys, that's the foundation. And yes, we have to have that. If we lose logistics, we're out of business. But we also have to have creative and experiential and strategy and all these other things. And so that's the change that the industry made. I mean, when I started here in Nashville in the early 2000s, if you were good at logistics, you were fine. That was it. And a lot of people sucked at logistics back in the early 2000s, even today. Now, a lot of people aren't great at logistics. A lot of companies are great at experience in the atmosphere, but they can't pull off the logistics, right? And they have, the name badges are messed up, or they don't have the right decor, or something happened with the food and they run out, or whatever it is, like little things, right? Because they can't do flawless execution. So we've flipped that and we're like, all right, we've got the foundation locked and loaded. My logistics team are rock stars. Now we're building the other things on top of that. And that's where I think everybody's going, that we're seeing. The destination management company model, the DMC model, has been dead for a while now. I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate that I said that. Sorry. But I believe it. It's just destination management. We're a global economy. You can't just pick one destination and be there. And I've called EES, we have global DMC services for the past 13 years. And I remember when I first said that, everybody was like, wait, what? Aren't you just in Nashville? I'm like, oh yeah, totally. We're in Nashville. But we travel. And we do a lot more. So we've already crossed that one hurdle, and now that's in the past, and now we're crossing this next hurdle with content and experiential and different offices, and yeah.
Wow. Well, you said 2021 was a banner year, like big coming out of COVID, and I know COVID was hard for everybody, but for your industry of live events was non-existent at that time. Like, how did it impact the business?
Yeah, I mean, we made no money. I was able to keep the team. And the beautiful thing about us is that we have producer mindsets on our team, right? So there's a handful at the time. There was 3 of us that are producers, and we know how to do it and have some light AV background. And so we went from we used to do 5 or so virtual events a year for some of our larger clients. And so we were like, oh, we kind of know how to do this in a very sporadic way. But what if we figure out the internal processes, procedures, blah, 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 and we do it 5 times a week for a year? So we turned our office into a studio and just produced virtual trade shows, which are awful, by the way. If we ever go back to having to be online, I do not recommend a virtual trade show, but virtual trade shows and all the virtual meetings and gamification and this and that. And, and the hardest part was nobody wanted to spend any money on it. So we were having to I think we were best friends with the team at Zoom for that year. And we were the ones that were like, hey, y'all don't have this option in your system. We're going to need that by Tuesday. Can you go figure this out? And they were, really? God, their business took off. But the way that we were integrating and pulling things together, hey, can we do this? I don't think we got a phone, we were literally calling them. We're we need to do this within your platform. And so it was awful and great at the same time, right? Because all of us, we were in events to be in live events. And then we're all sitting with our masks on, not 6 feet away, sorry, in my office, just putting on virtual events, which was crazy. But we made it. We made it through. We were able to merge with and then acquire DMC locally, which actually helped us with our local presence because before COVID, we were on the road constantly. I mean, constantly. That's when I was traveling over 300 days a year for a while, and it was a lot. And even though Nashville is our home, and we know everybody here in Nashville, people kind of forgot about us because we traveled so much. So that merger acquisition was great. Merger then acquisition was really good for us. She had a wonderful company and great friend of mine, and she was just like, I want to do something else, and here we go. I was like, great. COVID gave her an out, and we got some great team members from it, some great clients from it. Best thing ever. And so those kind of things combined of just okay, we really amped up our virtual know-how. We were able to get this DMC under our wing. And then I kept the team when it was time for all the doors to open. I think we were the largest in town because I didn't have to fire anybody. I think some went from 30 to 4 and I still had 12. So it was cool. So when the doors to the city opened again and everybody was ready to go, we were the ones that could do it. And we did it, sometimes 7 in a day. I think we were in at one point when we could finally travel again, 3 countries and 7 cities in a period of a week. Something insane. My COO knows this information. Insane. And that's when we were we might die. But we made it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I don't want to get through this episode without asking you about what was the inspiration behind launching the Viviendo Foundation?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're talking about that. Yes. I can tell you the story.
Yeah.
So nonprofits very near and dear to my heart. And when I started EES, I started with solely nonprofit work. I had a contract I couldn't break. And so did a lot of nonprofit work. And I just fell in love with so many of the nonprofits here in Nashville. And so we still do about 15% nonprofit work today. And a few years ago, I went to my team, all of us, and I said, hey, I want us to give back to a local nonprofit. And, but everybody had an opinion, Music Cares and NHA and blah, 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 all these different nonprofits. And I was like, oh my God, they're all so great. And babies and children and old people and young people and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. No, we can't do all of this. We can't have 32 nonprofits. So we were like, what if we just create our own? So that's what we do. And we did. So it's a foundation technically under my name for some legal reasons. I have a wonderful board made up of dear friends of mine that I've known for over 20 years. And the beautiful thing about Viviendo Foundation is that we give unrestricted funds without the headache. So what does that mean, right? So I don't know if you probably haven't, but if anybody out there listening is in a nonprofit space and they have tried to get grants, it's paperwork upon paperwork and paperwork, and it's a nightmare. And it might be for 10 grand or it might be for $1 million, but it's usually a nightmare. We don't do that. So my team, we do the work for the nonprofits. So we figure out every 3 years, we vote on 3 different categories in which we want to focus on. And then we do the work in seeking out these nonprofits. We have a few parameters in which we have to follow by, like the operating income, or operating budget, there's between $500,000 and $3 million. We prefer that no government funding is already given to said nonprofit, and we want our give, we do a 3-year give, stair step down, has to make a difference, which is kind of squishy, but like we want to hear about the projects that this is going to fund. So we do the work, and then literally we vote on it. And then these nonprofits have no idea that we're even doing this, the new ones, when we pick them up for their 3-year.
Wow.
And it's the coolest thing ever to just call them up and send them an email and a letter and be like, hey, I'm Falon. I run Viviendo. I'm president of Viviendo Foundation, and my board and I have found you, and we love what you're doing, and you fit all of our criteria. We're really excited where you're going. We heard about this project. Like, we want to give you X dollars, and then we're going to give you this for 3 years. And they like lose their mind, and it's so great, and everybody cries, and it's fun, and we bring a check, and it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. We're getting ready to do our next round of giving. Like, literally, we're writing the letters this week. So that's what I love about it. It's just different, right? It's not the normal process, and it doesn't have to be because it's a private foundation. Yeah, which is really cool.
And you all could clearly like move the needle.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
nonprofits.
And we have already. There's some orgs that we really have moved the needle for. We're going to be holding an event, a foundation event, where we bring all of our people that we've given to together and figure out a way to just get, it's all about exposure too. Like, some of these nonprofits we work with are doing amazing work, but because they're not large X nonprofit, they're not getting the exposure that they need. And so we want to make sure that we're bringing up the little guys, because, you know, we were a little guy too once. And so I want to make sure that they get a say too.
That's amazing.
It's fun.
What is the, as we start to wrap up, like, what's the legacy that Falon wants to leave in the space?
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so many things I want to do. There's so many things. One of the most important things to me as a person, just as a woman, not maybe even Falon is with EES Agency, is outside of leading with love, making sure that people know that I lived a big life, right? But not just for me. That I chose to live a big life because I wanted to bring other people up with me and show them that and show them the way. We have one shot here, right? And you know, when you lose someone very important and close to you, and you go through all the things that life throws at us, like, you realize, like, this is it. There ain't nobody coming to save you. There's no one coming to help you out. There's no one coming to tell you what to do tomorrow. You know, you kind of have to do it on your own. And I have always been someone that says yes. And I want to continue saying yes. And I want to be known for that. I want to be known for carrying people along in that and creating experiences for them, both personally and through EES, but just because we said yes, you know, and just doing really fun, cool shit, right? Because this is it. This is all that we have. I know my father was that way. My maiden name, Veit, is actually, it means to live. Viviendo means living. There's just a lot of things in my life that have been pointing me in that direction for a long time since I've been here, I guess, with my maiden name. And I just want to embody that and continue to grow that even more and say yes more and get other people to say yes. And, you know, it's just like, people ask me all the time about, well, how do I start this company? I'm like, just do it, right? It's like, it's all about just like the first step. It's like, do you have your EIN? No. Well, just do that. Okay. Well, have you reached out to a client? Like, do you have a client in mind? Have you talked to them? Nope. Well, then you just got to do that, right? So it's just like saying those incremental yeses to get to the bigger yeses. I know that's kind of a weird, swishy answer, but I think that's it. I think that's what I want to be known for. Yeah.
So inspirational, and you're such a like bright light. It's just.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot.
As we wrap up, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask you, or that you think might help the audience out?
I mean, I would just say it's kind of along the lines of what you just asked me, but it may be a little bit different with agency owners, right? It's like, you know, it's lonely at the top. You know this. Everybody on this knows this. There was a time in my life where I didn't have anywhere to turn. And even though I knew I wasn't I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to sell the company. I'm not going to shut down, whatever. All those thoughts enter your mind, right? When you're just like, geez, how do I get out of this? Or who can help me through this or whatever? And it was a short period of time, a few years ago, but it was hard. And the only way I got through it was because I put people in my life that I needed without knowing I needed them. And I know that's kind of vague. So it's kind of like there are signs. I'm a believer and everything happens for a reason, but I'm also a believer that God is telling us like, yo, hey, you see this over here? I've been showing you this for like 6 months. You probably should do this. Listening to that and having an open heart and mind to like the things that are moving around you in the space and putting yourself in the right rooms that you're supposed to be in and bringing the people into the room with you that need to be there to help you and support you. This is the only way you can get through some of that loneliness, right? And you don't have to do it alone. And for the longest time, I thought I did. And now I don't anymore. You know what? I never want to go back to that because I have found a place at the top now from doing that with some folks on my team that it's not lonely at the top anymore because they're standing right beside me.
Yeah.
And I feel like as founders and owners, everybody's not going to get what we go through. Absolutely not. But you know what? Like, that's okay because you're a great person. You work hard. You've got a great company. You can find some people that can support that of you, right? Because you're more than just an agency owner at the end of the day. But if you need that push, like just get those people beside you to help you get over that hump.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Well, you've shared a lot of great lessons, and
Thanks, yeah.
really appreciate everything you're doing for the Nashville community.
Thank you. Yeah,
really
we're
appreciate
excited.
everything you're doing for your team, and so inspiring.
Thanks,
and
Mark.
really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with our audience and being a part of the Spark podcast.
Absolutely. So excited. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I love it.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Spark from Creative Assembly. Thanks for spending time with us and exploring the minds shaping Nashville's creative future. If you're walking away more inspired, connected, or energized, that's exactly the point. A big thank you to our sponsor, Snapshot, and the incredible team behind the scenes who make this show possible. Your support fuels every conversation and keeps collaboration alive. So if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep that spark.